probably all heard the old rock song, "Get your motor running, head out on the highway, heading for adventure and whatever comes my way." And it goes on to say that we are born to be wild. While riding on the road is fun and driving can be fun, to go somewhere and sightsee and have a new adventure, it's only fun if we get there safely. And so that's part of what we're going to be talking about today. And we're so glad you joined us. My name is Jennifer Demuth with the Tuscarawas County Health Department, and I'm very thankful to have with me today Kelly Snyder. She's a health educator and the Safe Communities Coordinator for the Tuscarawas County Health Department. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so glad to have you. I was just, talking about that old rock song, Born to be Wild and heading out on the highway. It is fun. People like to, get in the car and go places with their friends and family, and they like to, hop on their motorcycle. But, as we do those things, it's so important that we're mindful of safety, because it's not fun to go somewhere if you don't get there all in one piece, right?
Absolutely.
And that kind of brings us to our topic today. We want to talk about the Safe Communities of Tuscarawas County program, and then know this is a program that's funded, through a grant and is housed at the Tuscarawas County Health Department. Can you tell me a little about the Safe Communities program of Tuscarawas County?
Sure. So the goal of the Safe Communities program is to prevent traffic-related fatalities and injuries in Tuscarawas County.
Okay. And you had mentioned that there's a coalition that works toward this good goal of, making sure we have less traffic crashes and fatalities. Who makes up that coalition? What types of partners do you work with to make this program happen?
So we have community partners from all over Tuscarawas County, as well as concerned citizens who have joined our coalition. So we have people such as the Emergency Management, EMA, or Omega. We have, ODOT, the County Engineer's Office, educators, local law enforcement, State Highway Patrol, Sheriff's Office, Kent State, people from Kent State. We have people from railroad and motorcycle safeties all over. And it's, they're all critical to our coalition because they each bring a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And it just helps us decide, what areas we need to focus in on in Tuscarawas County for traffic safety. And, I know I probably missed a few partners. I apologize, but, radio stations that are so gracious with us. And it's just a wonderful group.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So this group works together and they meet, every so often and talk about what exactly?
So we meet quarterly. We have a quarterly coalition meeting. And during that coalition meeting, we talk about traffic safety. We get reports from local law enforcement, the coroner's office, and we just talk about, what's going on, what the stats are, what it looks like, and what activities we're going to be doing. Mm-hmm. We talk about material distributions. We get ideas, brainstorming on how we can reach the community with our messaging. We're so thankful for the coalition members because they're aware of what's going on in their communities. Mm-hmm. That we might not be aware of. So it's really nice to, get in there and brainstorm together. And then after the coalition meeting, we have what's called our fatal crash review. Mm-hmm. And while this is not fun, it's not a fun meeting to have, but it's very necessary. And what we do is we look at each fatal crash that happened in the previous quarter. We look at the details around that crash, and what we look to see what we as a coalition can do to prevent that crash from happening again.
Wow. It sounds really important, and there are things you can do and messages you can get out. So for instance, if there were fatalities related to motorcycles, you're able to maybe have more messaging around motorcycle safety. Is that correct?
Right. So messaging, education. We did have an instance where we actually looked at the road and they were able to go out and fix, there was kind of something going on with the road that the engineer's office was able to go out and fix. And,
Nice.
Different things like that can help prevent fatal crashes from happening.
So it sounds like you have a really strong, coalition of folks working with you with Safe Communities of Tuscarawas County. And when we look at that coalition, if there's, someone in our community who's listening to this who says, wow, I can really I kind of see myself supporting this particular effort. Could someone from the community potentially join the coalition, someone who's concerned about traffic safety?
Absolutely. We are always welcoming new coalition members. The more we have at the table, the more people we have, and the more diversity that we have, the more we're going to be able to get out there and get our messages out. So I am always excited for new membership, and they would just call me at the Tuscarawas County Health Department. Okay. My extension is 182, and I will get them connected.
That's great. That's good to know, because I think there might be some people out there who think, I know, boy, we could really use some signage here. People are always speeding and running off the road here. And, the only way a coalition like this can find out that there's a challenge or a problem to be solved is if the folks let us know, right? So,
right, absolutely.
Right. Oh, very good.
And with those coalition members, a lot of them, travel outside of our county, and they might see something, this would be a great thing that we could do in Tuscarawas County. So they can bring that perspective as well.
Okay. So in the coalition's meetings, you kind of find out what some of the challenges are in the county. And then, what are some of those educational messages that you try to share with our community to help meet that goal toward better traffic safety in Tuscarawas County?
So our 4 key messages are drive sober or get pulled over, which targets impaired driving, click it or ticket for seatbelts, look out for motorcycles, and stay alive, don't text and drive.
Okay. I know, I've seen a lot of vehicles in our area with magnets on them. Do you want to show us the magnets you give out at community events and things?
Yeah. So when you come visit us at the community events, we have different magnets that we bring along, and it just depends on what message we're doing at that event. But we have our Stay Alive, Don't Text and Drive magnets, our Look Out for Motorcycle magnets, our Click It or Ticket magnets, and our Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over magnets. And I do have a few of these large Click It or Ticket magnets. So, you can visit us at community events, or if you have a need for them, employers, schools, anybody has a need for any of these magnets, certainly give me a call at the Tuscarawas County Health Department, and I'll get you hooked up.
Okay. And you even have like yard signs and things. I know sometimes I see businesses putting out a yard sign that says, stay alive, don't text and drive, or look out for motorcycles. So if folks want a yard sign for their business or organization or even their home, they could get those from you as well.
Yep. I have yard signs. I can also get banners, and we have bags as well with the messaging on it. So a lot of resources that just get that visual out there for people to see.
Yeah, I think that's important, just to keep mindful of those safety messages. I know when I started working at the health department, I said, Kelly, I need one of those Stay Alive, Don't Text and Drive, magnets. And I have that on my car all the time as a reminder to myself. Don't be the one that's texting and driving, because I don't want to be a hypocrite and have that magnet on my car and sit there texting, while I'm driving.
It keeps yourself responsible.
It really does. Yeah. It really does. And then you see it on the other vehicles, and it's a good reminder, it is that time of year where there are more motorcycles on the road. I really need to watch for that. So, all right. Excellent. So, why, obviously it's important to have these traffic safety messages out there just because, we want to travel safely and drive safely and get there in one piece without an unscheduled trip to the emergency department. But tell me a little bit about some of the local data about the numbers of crashes and some of the most common causes, because every once in a while you get someone who says, oh yeah, look out for motorcycles, but that's not really an issue here. Sometimes folks don't realize what an issue something might be. So could you share some of that data with us?
Absolutely. So I pulled the data from 2017 to 2020. And when we look at the fatal crashes in that time period, there were 50 fatal crashes.
Wow.
Okay. So
just in Tuscarawas County. We think we're small, but that's a lot.
Yes.
Wow.
And those 50 fatal crashes resulted in 56 fatalities. So some of the fatal crashes were, a double fatal crash. So when you look at those 50 fatal crashes, 30 out of the 50 were due to one of the factors in those crashes was impaired driving.
Okay.
Which for impaired driving, a lot of times people just think alcohol. But impaired driving also includes drugs. It includes prescription drugs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and that's something that people don't think about. 30 out of the 50 crashes were due to impaired driving.
Wow. Some kind of impairment. And you were mentioning, I'm fortunate that I am able to participate in the Safe Communities Coalition as well in my job at the Tuscarawas County Health Department. And I know when we talk about impaired driving, sometimes, members of law enforcement will say someone just took the medicine at the wrong time of day, or they took it at the same time as another medicine, not realizing it would make them, dizzy, and then they were out trying to drive. So if someone out there is concerned in particular about their medications and driving, wouldn't you say maybe it's a good idea for them to talk to their healthcare provider or pharmacist, ahead of time before getting behind the wheel? Like, hey, what are those concerns, so they can avoid that?
Absolutely. Talk to your physician, talk to your pharmacist, and look at the bottle. Read your bottle, and you always get the whole big stack of pamphlets that comes with your bottle that, has all the reactions and stuff. And that stuff's important, and for those reasons. And, a lot of times people think of impaired driving happening at night. While that is true, even at our coalition meetings, law enforcement have said it used to be primarily at night, but now it's mornings, noon, afternoon, So being aware of that as a driver, even though you may not be impaired, watching out for somebody who may be impaired.
Wow. So this is, obviously it's important to just be as clear-headed as we can to protect our own safety and the safety of others on the road. But if you get pulled over for impaired driving, it's not only a safety risk, but it can also be expensive. Tell me a little bit about that.
So the average cost of a DUI, are you ready?
I guess.
Nationally is between $10,000 and $17,000.
Wow.
When you think about, you usually have to go do counseling. You have to do some type of maybe a DUI camp, loss of job, loss of insurance, or your insurance rates go higher, your fees, the time that you're off of work. All of those factors go into it. So the national average is between $10,000 and $17,000 for one DUI.
Wow. So it's important to stay sober while driving, not only for safety, but also to protect your pocketbook.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And also, from 2017 to 2020, I did want to mention impaired driving is not our only issue in Tuscarawas County. So some of those other factors that were high on the list were speed, seatbelt, people not wearing their seatbelt, and then mature and youthful drivers.
Oh, okay. Well, I have one of those youthful drivers at my house. So we just need to be careful. So the mature drivers, what can we do for, say we have an older relative in our home or that we're close to, what can we do to encourage them to drive safer?
So just making sure that, they're doing, getting their eyes checked, going to their physician and, getting checked. And, the physician, if you have a concern, talk to them about it. And just, I know it's a hard conversation to have. It's not a fun conversation to have, but it's necessary for their protection and for other people on the road. So just making, their reflexes and their, flexibility, things like that, their reaction time. Things like that are being checked.
Yes, that's good. And, I know I have an older relative who really can't see well at night, so we've asked that relative, please don't drive at night, like you said, they're hard conversations, but, for their safety and the safety of those around them, those are good conversations to have. And also you talked about the youthful drivers, and I mentioned, I have a teen driver and I have a younger teen who reminds me that she'll be eligible for her permit in 2.5 years. And I try not to think about that. But, what are, some particular hang-ups as far as driving safety that we see, for teens? Is it just a lot of fender benders? I know a lot of times I think teens get accused of distracted driving a lot. What are there any trends that you're seeing?
Definitely distracted driving.
Okay.
And with distracted driving with teens, every passenger they have in the car can greatly increase their distraction rate. So that's one of the, the key factors with teens or, young drivers that are learning, to get out on the road for the first time. And that time with the parent or the guardian or adult that's driving starts at a young age. start talking to your child, as soon as they're able to understand, and say, when different things happen when you're on the road, give them an example. This is why I did this, or, it's raining out. You're not going to want to use your cruise control when it's raining, and this is why, inclement weather, different things like that. And just constantly talking and reinforcing those key messages, and then also, with parents, it's a great idea to have that driving contract. If I catch you without wearing your seatbelt, this is what's going to happen, and establishing those rules right off the bat.
Okay. I like that. That's good advice.
Yeah.
We were talking too about trends for crashes in Tuscarawas County. I know there are certain times of day where we tend to see more crashes. And, when we look at times of day, being part of the coalition, when I learned that information, I shared that with my teen and with actually my husband too. And I'm just even more mindful during that time of day when I'm driving here in Tuscarawas County, because I know, there are more crashes at this time of day. There tends to be a higher amount of traffic. It just helps me to be more mindful. And I think just knowing that information might help some of our listeners too.
So when I looked at the stats from 2017 to 2020 for the fatal crashes, Thursdays and Saturdays had the highest instances of fatal crashes. Okay. The time of day, interestingly, was 4 to 4:59 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And 4 to 4:59 p.m. Those were the two highest, followed by 8 to 8:59 p.m.
Huh.
Not what you think, is it?
Yeah, like especially the 4 a.m. time frame is odd, but the 4 to 4:59 p.m. does not surprise me. That's a time of day, especially when you think of Thursdays. You're rushing home from work or from after school activities. There's a lot of traffic then. And the morning one doesn't surprise me as much either, because again, that's the time of day people are rushing around, trying to get to work, to school, to whatever they have going on for the day. But the one from 4 to 5 a.m. is interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So,
wow.
And that's a lot of, different shift work, different things like that. People going to work, maybe being tired, drowsy. And then you also, unfortunately, have some impaired drivers out at that time. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So just things to be mindful of, as we go. So let's talk a little bit too about motorcycles. Is motorcycle crashes and fatalities really a concern here? And if so, what can we do, to help prevent that?
Yes, so motorcycles are definitely of concern in Tuscarawas County. We have a beautiful county.
Yes, we do.
People love to come and drive their motorcycles or ride their motorcycles in Tuscarawas County, and I don't blame them. Mm-hmm. Our county is beautiful. We have winding roads. We have, countryside. It is gorgeous. However, we do have some tricky roads.
Yes, we do. Windy, hilly.
Yes, blind spots, roads that they're not familiar with.
Roads with Amish buggies to watch for.
Yes, and now e-bikes. So a lot of different things to think about when on a motorcycle. So, in 2017, we had a ton of motorcycle crashes and fatal ones that were from out of county. Now, lately, it has been some in-county. We were looking at the in-county versus out of county. So just getting that messages to riders in our county, but also riders who are coming in and visiting our county. Yeah. So, just how important it is to refresh their motorcycle skills and taking those rider classes. Even if you've been on the road for, you've been driving a motorcycle for 10, 15 years, it's important, to take those refresher courses.
Okay. And then as drivers, what can we do to better look out for motorcycles?
Certainly. As drivers, be aware, especially in the spring when it gets warm. You have those days that all of a sudden it's warm and we're not used to seeing motorcycles.
That's true.
And they're smaller. And what we're not used to is, driving a car, a truck, or, whatever, a vehicle, we use our brakes more than a motorcycle does. So, being cognizant of the fact that motorcycles can slow down without using those brakes, because you're used to looking for those brake lights.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So, and then we have blind spots in our cars. There's so many things that we as motorists can do. And it really takes the cooperation of motorcyclists and motorists on the road for safety.
Okay. So we really need to do what the saying says, look out for motorcycles, and just be a little more aware, especially when the weather's nicer and we can expect to see more motorcycles out.
Yes.
Well, all right. I'm going to switch to another topic, and that's the click it or ticket. Okay. Now using your seatbelt is a message that's been around, gosh, I mean, since I'm sure before I was born, I feel like, and we know that, wearing that seatbelt can really prevent a lot of worse injuries, should someone be in an accident. And so when we talk about click it or ticket, what are the types of things you're just trying to reinforce aside from just putting that seatbelt on? Is there anything else we should be aware of?
Yeah, so what I think people don't realize is that once you're ejected from a vehicle, your chance of survival has diminished greatly. Okay. So that seatbelt keeps you in the car, and it protects you from severe or fatal injury. And I don't think people think about that. It also protects you from injuring others in the car. Oh. If you're not seatbelted in, you can, be thrown around the car and injure somebody else. Yeah. So it's so important. And just like brushing your teeth or tying your shoes, it should just be automatic.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. That's what I tell my teenagers. So, so when we talk too about click it or ticket, it kind of lends itself nicely to another program we have at the Tuscarawas County Health Department, and that's the Ohio Buckles Buckeyes program, where we can provide car seats and booster seats, to make sure that those kids are properly restrained and belted in the vehicle in a safe way. Can you tell us just a little bit about that program?
Yeah, so our Ohio Buckles Buckeyes program at the Tuscarawas County Health Department is a program where we can provide convertible and booster seats to income-eligible families. We can provide one car seat per child every 3 years. So as long as you're income-eligible, you would qualify and your child is of age and would fit the car seat, we can help you. Just give us a call at the Tuscarawas County Health Department. I'd be happy to get you registered. With the program, you do have to do an education portion of the program. So we have made that virtual with COVID. We've kind of had to work around, traditionally we would have classes, but we do have an education that we can send to you virtually. Once you view all the videos and answer the questions, we can schedule you for pickup, and then we just make sure that car seat's installed correctly, and keep your child safe. And also with that, we can also provide car seat checks. And this is for anyone.
Okay, so you don't have to be income eligible. No. If you want to have a car seat check to make sure it's installed correctly, they can call you.
Yep, just call me at the health department. And I can walk through some tips with you and to get that car seat installed. And then once you get to the health department, we'll do a socially distant car seat check. So I'll just, walk through different things, what to look for, making sure that all of those buckles and everything are in the right place, and making sure that that's installed correctly.
So, what I know, but our listeners probably don't know, is that you are, kind of registered as a child passenger safety technician. You went through days of training. So you really are a specialist in making sure folks have the right car seat for the child size and that it is installed correctly. I have heard you helping families with different types of vehicles, because doesn't matter, how many car seats you've installed maybe as a parent, or, just how much you've read that car seat manual from front to back and sideways and every which way. Sometimes you can know all the knowledge and still install that car seat incorrectly because of the type of vehicle you have, or maybe you've gotten a new vehicle and the slant of the back seat is different, and so you don't have it assembled, you don't have that car seat put in properly. So no matter who they are, they can call you and get that help, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The national average of car seats that are installed incorrectly is 75%.
75%.
75%.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know before COVID, the health department used to do checks of car seats to see if they were installed correctly. And there was a percentage for locally here in Tuscarawas County, how many were installed incorrectly. I think it was better than 50%. Do you remember approximately what that was?
I believe it was between 50 and 60% that were installed were not installed correctly. So it's so important. And like you said, I did the class, and it was funny because I have 2 boys, and it was a 4-day class, and I thought, oh, okay. At the end of the 4 days, I was like, there is so much to learn. There are so many different car seats, so many types of car seats, new laws, and new ways of installing, and different cars and different seatbelts, and there's so much to learn. So it's definitely, I've enjoyed learning, and now I, appreciate that knowledge, and I wish I had it when my children were young. So I'm happy to help anybody who has any questions on car seats.
That's really good to know. So I think we've really covered a lot of information today about the Safe Communities of Tuscarawas County program, the Ohio Buckles Buckeyes program. We really know pretty much everything we need to get out on the highway, get our motor running, head for our family adventure, and head for that adventure in a safe way that maybe isn't quite as wild as that song implies, right?
Right.
And so, I just want to ask you one last question. What do you enjoy most about working with the Safe Communities of Tuscarawas County program at the Tuscarawas County Health Department?
I love getting out into the community and talking to community members, and working with them. And, sometimes we have like a Plinko game or a spin wheel that we use, and it's fun. But what I really enjoy is with those games, we ask questions. And a lot of those questions are statistics that are local to Tuscarawas, or, are relevant to Tuscarawas County residents. And people don't realize, what our statistics are on seatbelt usage, impaired driving. So it's so much fun getting out and working with them. And I also, when we have a chance to work with the high school students and we have a teen driving rodeo, I absolutely love working with teens who are either driving or getting ready to drive. And when we can bring law enforcement in with it, and the law enforcement can interact with the teens, and the teens can have that relationship with the law enforcement, there's just something magical about that, because they don't always have that chance. And Safe Communities can provide that chance. Law enforcement comes down and they sit down and talk to students, face to face, and just say, this is what we see. This is, they answer questions. And it's really a wonderful opportunity for students to have that chance to talk about safe driving.
Right. So you're not only helping existing drivers be safe, but the drivers of the future too. And that's what we need here in Tuscarawas County, are more safe drivers and less of the wild ones, right?
Right. Absolutely. As drivers, we all have a responsibility. And we don't think about, driving is a privilege.
Yes.
And we all have a responsibility to keep ourselves safe, our families safe, but also those that we share the road with safe.
Yeah, very well stated. Thank you so much, Kelly Snyder, for joining me today. We really appreciate your time here, and we want to thank you, our listeners. My name is Jennifer Demuth from the Tuscarawas County Health Department, encouraging you to drive safely and enjoy the road of life in a very safe way. Thank you again.